Loud and Quiet presents Midnight Chats.
Evening listeners, Greg here with a special one-off episode of Midnight Chats. At the moment, we are actually in the middle of taking a bit of a break over the summer. As Stu mentioned in the final episode of Series 7, that was the one with Georgia, we're taking this time to record a bunch of new chats, the stuff that will form Series 8, that will begin at the end of the summer, sort of late August, early September, something like that. We'll let you know when we'll be coming back with a full, proper series. Anyway, it felt like a bit of a waste to hold on to this episode until then. We were just keen to get it out there and share it with you as a bit of an in-between series special. Let's call it that. In the middle of May, I went to Brighton for the Great Escape Festival. If you don't know it, it's basically the festival when it comes to new artists. Not just from the UK, but international stuff. Something like 400 performers, maybe even more than that, playing down by the seaside across 3 nights, across loads of different venues. And it was brilliant. I had a great time. Watched a bunch of bands, discovered some good new stuff, got mugged for my chips by some enormous seagulls, which I hear is fairly standard practice. And there's a daytime part to it all too. The Great Escape Conference, which has loads of interesting talks and workshops, panels, things like that. And they were kind enough to invite us to record a live episode of Midnight Chats. And we couldn't have picked a better guest, to be honest. Esteem came along early on the Friday morning to record what you're about to hear. We've wanted Rebecca Taylor on the podcast for a while, ever since we got sent the first track she made after leaving the band Slow Club and starting this solo project, Self-Esteem. Compliments Please was the debut album she released earlier this year. We talk a bit about that and what it was like taking the major step out of that band. She'd been in that band a long time and starting fresh again, not just with a new sound, but kind of with a new everything. The documentary film I mentioned in this is called Our Most Brilliant Friends. It's directed by a guy called Piers Dennis, and that sets the scene well, and do check it out. There's a trailer on YouTube. It just got released to UK cinemas last week, and it's very candid, not your average band documentary. So definitely one to watch. Even if you're not a fan of Slow Club or don't know that much about them, check it out because it's quite fascinating and definitely different to what you might have seen before. Anyway, more importantly, Rebecca was about to go and do the TV and go on Channel 4's Sunday brunch after we recorded this. She was very excited, understandably. But in this, she also talks about why she compares herself to Henry VIII now and wants to duet with Rihanna. So if that's not a good enough preview for you, I'm not sure what is. So until we get back properly with a whole new series of the podcast later in the year, enjoy this, recorded at the Great Escape Festival 2019 on Midnight Chats.
Whoa, so many people are here.
Oh, it's packed in, isn't it? Rebecca, how are you doing?
I'm great, how are you?
I'm good. You've got quite a prestigious few days lined up around this. Yesterday you did BBC Six Music Roundtable. Is that
Yes.
right? Today is the Great Escape, which is a big deal, as we know. And later in the weekend you're doing the telly, aren't you?
Yeah, proper national telly.
Oh,
My
yeah.
favourite thing to do in the world.
Yeah?
Yeah, I love it.
Tell me what you're doing.
I'm on Sunday brunch.
Excellent. Are you looking forward to it?
Well, it's the main music show one can get on, and it's a cooking show.
It's that or Andrew Marr, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now?
Hopefully we can do the double. But
Are you looking forward to it?
yeah, I love all that. Hair, makeup, telly, very bright. Last time I met Michael Ball. So, yeah,
Fantastic.
I really love, like things that proper other cool musicians think is lame. I love it, or loads. I love a sponsored gig.
The more corporate, the better.
Oh yeah, I don't know why I do, but I do.
Sorry to not give you any free sort of merchandise as part of this. We'll try and find something later. So Sunday brunch then, I had a quick look and you're on with some people from Made in Chelsea.
Yeah, two blondes, annoyingly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think I'm worried about my representation. I think I'm going to fade into the background a bit. I'm not very excited about any of the guests, if I'm honest.
Okay, disappointed. No Michael Ball in there.
No ball, but it'll still be funny. And being there as self-esteem feels it's kind of a big deal. I feel kind of proud about it.
Yeah. So you've done it before, obviously.
Yeah.
And what was the experience like?
Very difficult because when I was in Slow Club, no one else liked that kind of thing. So it was quite hard. And I'm a desperate people pleaser. So I was just like, I felt really responsible that everyone hated that they were on the telly, whereas I was having a nice time. So this time it'd be fun because my band are all as daft as me, so we'll all be enjoying it.
I mean, I'm assuming a lot of people listening to this will know what Sunday Brunch is. It's a sort of early morning cooking stroke entertainment show on Channel 4, and it's hosted by Tim Lovejoy and celebrity chef Simon Rimmer.
Yeah, one of my favourite memories of the last one, sorry Mel, I tweeted, we're on Sunday Brunch today with Tim Lovejoy and Simon Rimjob. And Mel was like, could you take that tweet down, please? But I became buddies with Simon Rimmer after. He's dead nice. He's been to my Manchester shows, yeah.
I've always felt like of that duo, I always
he's
get
the
good
one,
vibes off him.
Yeah, Tim Lovejoy comes up on Celebrity Tinder and has never swiped yes on me. Because obviously I always say yes to all the celebrities because it's funny. I'm not going to bring that up.
Have you been on any celebrity dates?
I couldn't tell you. Not off that app, though. I'm deleting that app. It's rubbish.
Disappointing. So when you go on these things, something like Sunday Brunch, you're going to perform on Sunday?
Oh, yeah.
Do you get to do any cooking?
Well, we were trying to get them to let me cook, but I'm not famous enough. I'm like bottom of the rung in that lineup. Lewis Capaldi got to, but hey, maybe next album too.
No jealousy here.
I just realised how much I make all this music and I'm like an art and I'm so I'm very serious about all that, but then still I gauge it by whether or not I'm cooking an omelette on telly or not. That still is success more than any of my really hard work. But that's fine.
Can you make me one promise? If on Sunday because presumably there's a bit where they say Jamie from Made in Chelsea has made you a steak tartare or some snails or something, and you have to try it. Will you call them out if it's not very nice? Because most people the default answer is just go, there's a sort of pause, isn't there? And they go, oh, that is delicious.
I have a feeling I would probably say if I don't like it.
That is disgusting.
I've got nothing to lose at this point, I don't think.
Okay.
But yeah, as with this, I don't do any prep. I just think, just take it as it comes, see what happens. Same with the round table yesterday. All the other guests had listened to the songs and made notes, and I was like, yeah. I learnt my lesson with the Six Music round table long ago after sort of slagging something off, and then a tour manager I had told me that he'd been driving this band and they were just ripping me to shreds because I'd said their song was shit. And about what I look like and things like that. So since then I was like, okay, when you're on the round table, which happens a lot because I think I'm the only woman in music that they can think of sometimes. I thought, and so now I just go, I give everything a 7 and say, everyone has a right to make music. And also I once heard someone slagging a Slow Club song off on it, and I, instead of having any confidence or self-esteem, I was like, ouch! So yeah, I just, same with the TV. Just keep it all very kind and nice.
Yeah. If you were cooking on Sunday Brunch, what would you be making?
Beans on toast, probably. I do love... They asked me in the research chat, what's your favourite food? And all I could think of was beans on toast. I am quite the cook, actually. I do a fish taco with a guacamole, all that sort of thing. When I lived alone, I cooked a lot, and there's a form of procrastination. But now I'm in London again, and I'm living with people, and I'm really busy. It's just a discounted Itsu at the end of the day at the moment.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, you're kind of quite keen on doing stuff like that. It seems like the more surreal, the more up for it. Those things are probably a little bit sort of strange, aren't they? They're kind of a weird experience to turn up at a TV studio. You're with some people from a reality TV show, and it's just a different feel to the whole thing. It's not... it's not your average day in the office, so to speak. Are you kind of generally up for those type of experiences? Like you just relish it, the sort of the stranger, the more different, the sort of bring it on.
I think so. I think because I was in like an indie band for so long, and so much of that was about sort of, I think like as a teenager I was like, cool. I'm doing those finger things for the podcast listeners. And something happened and I realised I'm really tired of doing that, and I actually really like telly, and I especially like UK telly, and I like just no pretense and things like Sunday Brunch. It's just not cool, and that's what I like about it. Just being confident, I guess, or yourself, or I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know why I love it. And also it's like I've been doing this for so long, and still there's like members of my family that are like, when are you going to go on X Factor? Like, I do really appreciate these barometers of like success that make sense to people that don't understand that I've done all right in music. Same with Glastonbury, like playing that is really, like finally having a actual set at Glastonbury has really helped the understanding in the wider family and friends, people from school, you know.
I'm playing Glastonbury, like, oh wow, so you do music properly then?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I do.
I don't know why it's like one thing that still bothers me, but hey.
With the TV stuff, is there any shows that are still out there that you would absolutely love to do? Are you not going to stop until you are like a judge on X Factor?
I would be brilliant at that.
I think you'd be good.
That's what bothers me.
Yeah.
I'd love to do it all, but I'm aware that I'm like not famous enough, right? But as soon as if I slightly was, I'll clean up on them all. 8 out of 10 cats, yes. I'd love to do Jules Holland. That's another annoying milestone, isn't it? But years have been like, maybe they really like you, and then they didn't happen. So psychologically, I have to let go of that kind of thing. And he's not on air at the minute, which has really helped. Because I'm like, oh, well, I can't get on it anyway. It's not a failure if it's not on air.
Surely that's on the cards, though. They need to put
Mate, you'd think that. But this is, my whole career's always felt a bit like, not quite. So, but I'm making my peace with that now as a mature woman in the industry. I'm proud of what I do. I would like to be making an omelette on telly, though, at some point.
Maybe this Sunday, you never know.
Maybe.
So this is The Great Escape. For people, again, that maybe aren't sure of what that is, if you're listening, if you're not here, it's a new bands festival, basically. People come to check out the hot new things. You've been to The Great Escape before, presumably, as part of in your kind of old life, as you put it, with Slow Club. But what is it like? Presumably the last sort of year, 18 months has had a few experiences where you are, because of this new project, going back and doing the new artist thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what is that like?
It's been so weird, and I don't think I realised that would be happening. So the first few, we did like a new bands night at the Night and Day Cafe in Manchester, which is one of the first places outside of Sheffield me and Charles played. And I was like waltzing in there with my new band. We were all like dressed up, and I was like, oh, it's a new band night. And the dressing room we were sharing with all these like genuinely like 18-year-old boys with like that were really excited, and they had their own mini speakers, and they were playing like Serge Gainsbourg through the speakers. I was like, I hate all of you. And then I realised, no, you got to suck all this up, because I'm like, it's not an ego. I haven't got a big ego. It's more like my life had just that wasn't it anymore. So I was just really shocked. I was like, why are all these boys here? Why? So it was quite really funny for me to realise I've gone back to the start. And I struggled with it at first and thought I'm too old, or I feel really worried that I've gone back in time, and what if it don't work? But I've enjoyed it, it turns out, because it's going back to being like, I sort of used to feel like this in really early Slow Club days, like when we do like open mics, I'd be like, I know that we'll be like at least interesting on that bill. I mean, this won't come across well on the radio, but I do think, I just know like we'll be really good on these new band things. So I've enjoyed the like, you wait till we get on feeling, which
the competitiveness of it.
A little bit, which is bad, but and also like I've just done it for so long that I don't feel the anxieties and the stresses that I did when I first started. So it's just a joy to perform now, no matter where it is, really.
before we talk a bit about Compliments Please, which is the debut album you released earlier this year, in my research for chatting to you today, I watched the Slow Club documentary. It came out at the end of last year.
How'd you get that?
It's got a secret email, didn't I? It's been screened at a couple of places, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's going to be shown in a few different places for people to see possibly later this year. It's called Our Most Brilliant Friends, and essentially it's a kind of hour-long movie documentary that explores or charts sort of the final Slow Club tour, doesn't it? And the, fair to say, the kind of last chapter of that band, kind of things as you were yourself and Charles were kind of like that project was sort of coming to a close. Well, yeah. Well, you tell people about it. What do you think of the documentary?
I wish I could quite remember how it was born, but basically Dennis, who made it, is like a close friend of both Charles and I, and he'd made a few videos for us. And I think it was me who was like, we should have someone come on this last tour. Not because I particularly thought it was going to be the last tour, but I don't know why. Maybe I don't know. And our manager sort of said yeah, and it was meant to just be like a tour doc, but it has turned into this really poignant. I think it's kind of amazing how well he managed to make it balanced, and it's about friendship really, and letting go of something rather than like about being on tour, which I think that's far more interesting to watch. The whole thing was extremely emotional for me, as you can imagine, because Charles and I didn't talk much to each other, but for some reason both in this film talked to the filmmaker. Every step of the way, we both were like independently watching it and okaying it. So the whole time I was like, well, if he's okay with it, I'm okay with it. And it's just like, this is such a weird, I mean, it's just stupid. We should just get drunk and talk. but like from an art perspective, I kept saying to Piers, like, the stuff I find interesting is the stuff that's TMI or whatever. And I was like, if paint me badly, paint me honestly. Like, I don't want something that's biased or glorifying me at all. I don't know if Charles said the same. So I was like, oh God, I'm like having this like Tracy Emin-esque, like, yeah, just the real me. And I don't think he would be comfortable with that angle. So for a while I was like, oh shit. But it's as a piece of art, I'm like, it's really cool and brave and stuff, and I'm glad it exists. They screened it, and then we had a Q&A, and we were both there, and that was one of the worst experiences of my life, because there's just so much tension, and some prick in the audience asked a question that was sort of very kind to me and not very kind to Charles, and it was dreadful. And I was like Michael McIntyre at the Palladium, like, lolly they do, jokey joke, which is a sort of microcosm of the whole band, really. It's like, we haven't worked, our relationship's been tough because we don't talk, and instead of that, we both go, habadahula, and it was just, yeah, it's on YouTube, and I sort of hate-watched it the other day, and thought, oh, God. But my hair looks really nice. I just had my roots done, so that was good.
You use the words honest and poignant, and it is both those things. It's kind of the opposite of, you know, those like incredibly stylized tour documentaries that people put out to kind of present the best versions of themselves. Like if you go on there, if you watch like a multi-million pound pop stars kind of documentary, sometimes you're just kind of like, well, I'm not really quite sure what I'm actually learning about this artist. I'm just seeing this presentation and it all looks very slick and everything else. But it actually, in sort of exploring the mundanity of kind of what a tour is, it's actually very moving, I felt. And there's like some moments in it that, like, there's a bit where you're in a tour van and you can't unlock the door. And it's like really funny, but nobody's laughing. But it's just like, those were the things that your day would have been filled with when you were kind of, the stuff that people effectively think, oh, that's too boring to go in there, or it's too mundane, or it's too human. That's been kept in, and that's actually what makes it special.
Yeah.
I would definitely urge people to check it out. Was that the first time that you saw it and Charles saw it in the same room?
Yeah.
Okay, that's awkward.
Yeah, it was... Well, I first saw it. Piers was sort of because Piers is really sensitive, and he and I are really close. So I knew that he would, and he took it all really seriously, and he sort of made sure me seeing it for the first time was like at his flat, and he like made it all nice, and I cried my eyes out watching it the first time because I just felt, number one, it was a long time since that time, and like my hair's all really long and natural. I feel like it, and I was it felt like watching a different person because I was so crestfallen, I think, about my career, and it was the mundanity and showing that, like, to people on the outside, like, we were a cool band who can fill venues. It's like, life must be great, what a dream. And it, like, for me, that wasn't the dream, and it certainly wasn't the dream anymore. And I felt really frustrated because I did not know how to go to the next level, and I had been made to feel for a long time that was a really like a shitty quality about me, that I was ambitious, and that was not the point, and that made me not a real musician or a true artist. So the documentary is a lot of me being like, I want to be on Jules Holland. Like,
I want to win a Mercury
I want to
Prize,
be at least, you know, in the long list. And that's sort of desperate and sad and really not cool. But like, I mean, I quit trying to keep up any pretense. And the thing about like doing self-esteem has been that, like, what if nothing changes? And nothing might change. I might not play any bigger venues. I might not get on any of these things. None of these big, exciting benchmarks. They might not happen to me, but at least like day in, day out, I could be surrounded by like-minded people. I could be, at least if I'm playing like Cardiff Barfly again, and it stinks, there's no dressing room, but at least I can be on the stage dancing now and in a outfit I've designed, and we're all caked in makeup and we're all having a great time, and I'm making my own little arena shows. It's just more that. I genuinely was like, I just need to change what it's like day to day, so it's not so, because it would be like a miserable day, and then it was getting that I felt miserable on stage, and like just looking forward to the little bits I got to sing on my own, maybe, and just logic prevailed eventually, and I was like, I'm really unhappy, and it's not getting any better. So
Self-esteem, then.
Yeah, go on then.
Yeah. When it sounds like, I mean, obviously we got to hear the debut album earlier this year, but it sounds like the seeds of that, the kind of nucleus of that, would have gone back quite a way. I mean, that the documentary we've just been talking about is around the period sort of 2016, something like that, a few years ago.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah, I think so. Sorry.
These ambitions that you're talking about, and like the desire to want to do something that was more personally fulfilling, how far back did that go? Because even if you didn't know it was going to be called Self-Esteem and it was going to be, you know, more of a pop music thing, etc., did you always dream of that? Did that even exist before you did Slow Club?
I think, like, if you asked me honestly when I was like 18, what do I want to do? It would have been this. But I was in Sheffield and I was like the indie girl at school, and like I said earlier, like addled with this like obsession with being cool. And also what was like available to me was like being in bands with boys with guitars in town, like this kind of thing. And also pop music back then was still like, it's become the most exciting genre, and it doesn't, between indie and pop doesn't exist anymore. And I do think like those lines are just blurred and gone, and we all love Ariana Grande, and that's fine now. But back then, like, I just kept it hidden how much I loved Destiny's Child and stuff. And I'm annoyingly quite like I can write on spec kind of thing. If you say, write me a folk song, I can write a folk song, or I can look like a folk singer, or... So it was a bit adaptable. I'm a Libra. So I really, and that was it. I just played a role early on that I liked enough. I loved Bright Eyes and stuff like that. And Tilly in the Wall, actually, they helped, because they were at least in like daft clothes and dancing a bit.
With that in mind, slightly kind of different tangent of a question, but with things like writing for other people, like writing pop, writing camps and things like that, or collaborating with like, would you collaborate with like an EDM DJ and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah? If Calvin Harris gave you a call, you'd do it.
I would love that. There was a while, I had an electro boyfriend, right, in 2009, 10, and it was before Calvin Harris was a big deal. And when he dumped me, we were like, who can we go out with? Who can I go out there that's like beat him, or we're like Calvin Harris. It never happened. Yeah, I love all that. I mean, I've got a bit of a feeling that I need to keep self-esteem sonically, like exactly what is in my mind. But I've got nothing to lose, so I could go and feature or on other things, and it doesn't mean like she's gone dance or something. Like, I feel like self-esteem can stay as this like anchor now, and I've sort of proved what it is. I'd love to. My dream job is writing for Little Mix, definitely.
That doesn't feel like unachievable anyway, right?
Well, I hope not. I want that money.
Little Mix notoriously listen to our podcast, so there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I said to the label quite a few times, I don't know if it happened, can we make sure my record gets to them, please? Don't know if it ever did. But no, I love all that. In Slow Club, I sort of couldn't explore writing for other people, because if someone wanted to write with Slow Club, it was the two of us, and it was like, oh, we never sort of did it, because it was just like another thing to sort of not agree on. So now I'm a solo artist. Opportunities are coming up where I can say, yeah, I'm doing loads of theatre things because I love all that. And it's like really changed everything. It's great.
Has it put you off ever being, not necessarily in that band, but a band again?
I don't think I want to not be the boss man again. I don't
You've been to the
so.
top of the tree.
Unless, like, I could do a project, like a collaboration one-off thing with, like, you know, Rihanna, sure. But I'm hoping I can be boss man forever. Also, I'd love to do backing vocals for either Rod Stewart or Peter Gabriel. So they're the two gigs I'll give it all up for.
Do you like Rod Stewart?
Why has something come out about him?
Since we've been on air. No, I don't really like Rod Stewart.
For some
Got
reason,
bad vibe off him.
I can fuck with Rod Stewart. I don't know why. Baby Jane tune, and I've seen him live a bit.
Okay. Hang on, how many times have you been to see him live?
I feel like I've been like twice
Okay.
to like arenas. I don't know.
Were you taking a parent or a grandparent?
It was with like an ex's auntie, so maybe it's that. But no, there's. Melodically, some of the Rod Stewart work is quite exquisite. It's more Peter Gabriel's my main one, because when I was a little girl, my dad, there is this like filmed concert of his. I think it's called Brave New World or something like that. And it was this tour that he did with like props and staging, and it's all really theatrical. And this like tree grew out of the stage, and they dance and stuff. And they've all got like hands-free mics. And so like 8-year-old me just used to be like, put the Peter Gabriel video on again. And there's a girl in it who had like long black dress and Doc Martens, and she sings all the girl bits. And that's one of my first memories of like, I want to do that. Like, so I've got this mini dream of doing that gig one day, if he stays alive and not cancelled.
If money was no object, what would your stadium stage show look like?
Just huge and constantly interesting, and something new happening a lot. It's more about that. Like, I think you can get like a backdrop that's like, wow, but it's the moving, keeping it going. And
would you come out on one of those rises in the middle of the stadium, in the middle of the crowd?
Yeah, I'm more interested in flying in. I would like that. I love all that daft stuff. And gigs are boring, is my point. Like, so, I mean, I've played enough of them. And I've been bored, so I don't know about you guys. But so, even in my little low-budget world that I'm in, trying to make that happen now, I'm like, just keep it moving and interesting. Even if that's, like, my live show probably puts people off. Some people don't want that. But I'm just pleased with myself now. It
sounds quite liberating, like certainly more fulfilling.
Yeah, it's great. And I want to like up and up, really. Like, you can. My point is always like, I live like I'm like Henry VIII, right? I just like eat a lot what I want, and like I do what I want, and kiss who I want, and I just sort of, I want the live show to feel like that. There's like no reason not to do everything you want until, like, I don't know, you have kids and you're married or you've got responsibilities.
So Compliments Please was the debut album. Just tell me a little bit about the sort of beginnings of that. You were living in London, but then you moved to Margate and to start working on that material. Or what was the experience of living in Margate like?
Well, no, it was great. It was. I just had to leave for the sake of my heart. Blood pressure, I think. I don't know.
It was too exciting.
No, I don't know why I did it. I'd always been in London because Charles's wife is in London, so he'd always sort of lived there, and I'd been like flat to flat to flat, trying to sort of survive financially. So every time we went on tour for a while, or like the money was like petering out, I'd have to move back to my parents. I was like, that was sort of looking likely again, and for a long time there's no need for me to be in London. So I got a really like annoyed relationship with it, and I'd gone back up north and then got like a tax rebate, and it was a sort of situation where I was like, oh, I could buy this flat in Margate when everyone's doing it, and my manager at the time was there, and he'd bought like quite a few properties, and it was all cool, up and coming, and I thought I'd be a painter. So I just did that. I was like a sort of midlife crisis sort of move, and it was great, and it's beautiful, but it's just a bit too soon for me to be there, I think. So, but what it did do is afford me it was a huge risk sort of saying I'm not going to do any more local gigs, I'm going to do this. It took ages, and I like ruined my new manager's life by being like, when? Like, can we put this out? Can we do this? It's like, no, you have to build it, and took ages to like get a record deal, and didn't know if that would happen, and so I was just going completely coco loco in Margate, which is not the place to feel like that because there's too many like daft things you can do there. So it was just a sort of odd time, but thank God it all sort of came together and made sense because I'd started working with a producer there, and it turned out like he was the one that I wanted to make the record with. So it all just came together, and so as soon as it could be a place to really work from, it was a good place to be. But I moved back quickly because we were doing loads of press and stuff, and now I'm back into the London life. And it's the first time I've lived in London, and it's for me, like, and it serves me, and therefore I'm not like angry about how much it costs because I'm like, if this is great, every day I'm busy doing exciting stuff.
And the album's called Compliments Please. Did you feel like have people got it? Have people understood it in the way you wanted them to?
I have no idea.
No idea.
The album or the title?
Or both, I suppose. Well, start with the title. Has anybody given you any nice compliments about Compliments Please? Oh, of course they have. I mean, what are the best ones?
No, I can't. I thought it was really funny to call it that. And I think hopefully, if you know, kind of thing. That's like the same with loads of my things I think are funny. Like, if you don't get it, it's harmless, but if you do, it's like that's funny. Yeah, we had no idea what would happen. I knew I was really proud of it, and I loved it, and I loved how sort of long it was and epic, and it flowed, and I got all the different bits of the spoken word stuff, and aesthetically it was all coming together. And so I was just like, I just, for the first time in my life, maybe was going to bed going like, I know I've done enough, and there's like no stone left unturned with this for me. So if you hate it, I don't think that will hurt in the same way as like slow club albums, because it was a collaboration. I'm really proud of them all and I love them all, but there's things on it that were compromises that I wouldn't have ideally had on it, and that is sort of opens up a weird little cavern in you where the bad stuff can get in. So at least with this, I was like, I felt a bit bulletproof with it. So the fact that people really liked it, I was like half really relieved and half like, yeah, arms, which is bad, but I don't care.
And it's brought along some great sort of opportunities. Obviously, Sunday brunch that we talked about.
Big brunch opportunity coming up. Yep.
Huge brunch opportunity. Other things that are coming up this year. You already mentioned Glastonbury.
Mm-hmm.
Are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, I'm doing 4 sets at it because I've got a camp.
Okay.
And I just thought it's best for the more gigs I play, the less like totally wasted I'll get. So
have you done the sort of full Because Glastonbury's one of those ones where you just got to embrace it and sort of do the Glastonbury experience, right?
Yeah. Well, I've only been once. I sang in the Moon Landings, that band, and so they did Park Stage at 12 midday, and my only memory is a pint of red wine before I went on. So that wasn't a nice experience, it turned out. So yeah, I'm gonna have fun, and it's the same again. Like, it's going with like 5 of my besties now, so everything's a different experience because I'm not lonely. I'm like, it's just it's a fun vibe so far. Ask me this in a year, and I'll be like, I hate that. But I'm doing loads of festies, and this is another cool thing. Every year it would be like, how are we getting any festival slots? And we'd get a handful every year, but they'd be like, you just released the album at the wrong time, I'm sorry. I'd be like, I don't know what that means. And the fact I'm dead busy, and releasing the album in March is a bad time for festivals. But I'm like, I always knew that was bullshit. So I'm really proud that I've got loads. I got loads on, yeah.
Excellent. You're going to do some shows with Florence and the Machine.
Yeah.
Florence is a fan of yours, presumably?
Well, yeah, it was a really cool thing happened where she put my album on her Instagram story, and I got like 20 text messages off people, and we just I DM'd her and said, that's really kind, thank you. It's funny though, because I was on the Radio 1 thing, and Jack Saunders was like, this must be a dream come true. And I'm like, I think I'm older than her. And he was like, she must be a big inspiration. I was like, I was doing it like 7 years before she had her first single. Like, I was like, it's not like, it's great, and I am so excited, and I'm so like in awe of her success and not everything she's made. But I'm not like, I don't know how to say this. Do you know what I'm saying?
Not overawed by the opportunity.
It's not that it's like, oh my God, wow. I'm like this, but it does feel brilliant. I don't think I'd be excited by anything apart from Peter Gabriel. But no, I'm really in, and I'm so excited. It's so kind of, and she's been so like, she tweeted the album link. I'm like, that is like, we can't pay for that kind of like press. Thank you. Like, this is huge. And I don't understand people being that kind to me unless they want to have sex with me. So it's all been like quite lovely, unless she wants to have sex with me, which is also fine. But I'm really excited. We keep going Flozzled when any Florence news comes in. But I'm excited to play to like a massive crowd of people that like female strong pop music. Yeah, I feel like it might go down well.
Yeah, going back to that point of being like welcoming like any new opportunity, like it's going to be a big stage. It's going to be 30,000 people or something like that. It's going to be good.
Slow Club did a Mumford & Sons tour in America, which still is one of my favourite. Well, same again. We were like, oh, Mumford & Sons. But then by the end of every gig, I'd be like, I will win. We're like having the time of my life, because I was like, I love popular stuff. It's brilliant. So I'm hoping, yeah.
Are you going to do some stuff with Self-Esteem in America?
Well, I hope so. I asked you that. My manager swiftly ignored that question this morning on the train. I'm trying to get it to come out there. Okay. We were told that solo females don't work.
Solo females don't
work in America at the moment, apparently.
That's not true, is it?
I mean, look at Aura. She goes to the Met. So I've got to get over that.
You need to just that's another like hypothesis, music industry like myth you need to just bust.
I hope so. I'd love to, but also Slow Club went a lot, and we did all those mad, huge tours, 10-hour drives to not even a gig, 2 days in, and then 10 more hours to the next gig. And then I did that real like punk, like back of the van American tour quite a few times. So I'm not desperate to do that. I would love to go and play and see what happens, and eat the food out there. It's really nice food everywhere. Even though like TGI Fridays is nice. You know, like their crap restaurants is like delish. But that's not the point. I would like the album to come out there if anyone's listening.
Yeah. When you hear that stuff though, when somebody comes back to you and says, oh, female solo artists don't work here at the moment, do you, obviously that's complete rubbish, like does it make you angry? Do you just kind of like, have you heard that so many times you just kind of like, oh well, or like just how does that make you feel?
It just feels stupid and sort of laughable, and I like telling people that that's what I've been told, and it just spurs me on a bit to be. But then I do have this like real fear that there's, how do I say it, like no matter how much like I can defy like what people expect of me or what people expect of women. There is still this like impenetrable like white men at the top of the desk thing that I'm worried I'll not live to see the end of. But I mean, maybe I'm getting too deep about it, but I could definitely play, you know, a small gig in New York. Come on. It's like also, I don't know. I have to let go of a lot of that because it makes me too angry. And the idea of success is, I've got to let go of that as well. It's just more like I have to bring it back to me and what am I enjoying? And do people like what I'm doing enough for me to be able to do it? Yeah, so we'll go from there. But I go through phases of like, I'm going to smash this down and change this. And then I go, nah, never mind.
It sounds like we talked a little bit about just like how it's been a change of sort of pace, change of experience doing self-esteem compared to what you've done in the past. Already answered this to a certain extent, but the idea that you're happier doing it, like it feels, you know, is it just been something that's been more satisfying to like take this path? And as you said before, maybe it did feel like a risk and there was a certain amount of anxiety that goes along with presenting yourself as a solo artist as a whole new thing. You probably did concern you, like worried you before you did it. Are you at the happiest place now knowing like, I did it, it's been successful, we're doing all these new things? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's truly changed my life, just being able to prove that I could, like I'm good enough and my ideas are good enough alone. And like, there was a ton of like personal mental health shit that I'm like, so much of that I think was because I didn't realise how unhealthy not expressing myself truly was for me. So even like it started because I had an Instagram account that I called Self-Esteem, and I was putting just just sentences on, and I remember that even being like such a relief. And it's nobody's fault. Like I'm not blaming the band or the label or management or anything, but like it was just all I just didn't notice that there could be something else for me, or it didn't feel like I could ever do it. I think I got to a point where it was like I've got to at least try because I can't cope if I don't, kind of thing. And I'm a real glass half empty person, and was like, no one will like it and no one will care. And the main thing was that everyone's going to laugh at me loads. But I don't know how I did it. I think I just persevered, and RuPaul's Drag Race, like honestly watching that made me go like, this is all just so daft, and all these people just work so hard, and there's no right or wrong with a lot of it, and that really helped. I was just like, I realised I was living my life worrying about what, it was like this metaphorical table and the people sat around that table. I was so worried what they'd think about and how I knew what they'd say about me and how they'd slag it off and how they'd critique it, and I just thought like, what if that table wasn't in the restaurant? I really had to visualize it like that and go, well, I only realize how far I've come when I like, if a friend says something like, oh, I can't do that because it looks like this, and I'm like, that wouldn't occur to me anymore. Like, that's just took years of trying really hard to let go of that chronic embarrassment of myself. And there's still plenty of it, so don't worry. But it's a happy place, and the thing about the show and being able to know like tonight I'll come off stage and I'll have broke a sweat and I'll feel like I performed and I will be in the moment. And then really cool things happen where I do really want to just go home after gigs now, whereas before I'd be like, let's get as drunk as possible because I need and socialise, desperately socialising after gigs, because I don't think I felt represented on the stage. And now I'm like, you've seen me, I've done it. I can go home now. I've not got so much
get
to
in
prove.
the limo, literally.
Well, yeah. Or
Stage doors open, straight out.
Yeah. I really wanted a limo the album release day, and I really wanted to, and we did talk about it, but it didn't end up happening.
You should arrive tonight, since we're by the seaside, you should arrive by speedboat.
Yes.
You should do that. I saw Jay-Z do that once.
That's the thing, you can do that. It's my Henry VIII theory.
Yeah. It's
like, within reason, you can just do anything you want in the day. I could save up for a limo after tonight. I'm not going to, though. We'll save it for... I'm doing Brixton Electric in October, so excellent. That's a limo one, innit?
Save it for them.
Midnight Chats is a loud and quiet podcast. Music courtesy of Gold Panda. Search Midnight Chats on iTunes for more episodes and to subscribe. For more information, visit loudandquiet.com.